Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Sheviit Perek Aleph Mishna Dalet. Over here, also a continuation, right? Let's keep you on the same thread. Let's say of the 3 trees that you had, not all of them were able to produce. 2 of them were able to, 1 of them wasn't. How would all this play out? And then we're actually going to speak about if you have a ton of trees. Well, one thing at a time. Let's say one tree produced a kikar devila. Or shnaim osim, right? Or 2 of them. En horshim lahem ela letzorkan ad sheyehu mishelosha ve'ad tisha. You're not allowed to plow for them until you have between 3 and 9 trees that are producing a kikar devela of 60 maneh ba'italki, right? You have to, it's not enough to have 1 or 2. You need to have all 3, right? That's if, at least 3. But let's say ayu asara. Let's say you had 10 trees, or 10 and above, ben osim ben she'enam osim. Even if it's not producing that much fruit, horshim kol betze'ah b'shvilan. At that point, you're allowed to plow the entire field. 10 trees, that's enough. That's considered a field, even if it's not producing that much fruit. Right? Horshim kol betze'ah b'shvilan. Now, shene'emar b'harishu b'katzir tishbot. As the pasuk says, that you have to go ahead and pause during the harisha and ketzira. Right? Now, what's this speaking about? This is the reason, this is the pasuk, this is the reason explaining why we're only allowed to plow for them specifically, right? We're not allowed, this is why we have to pause, right? This is why we have to stop. This is why we're only allowed to plow for the specific tree, and we're not allowed to plow the entire field, right? If it's less than 10 trees or less than 3 that are producing, right? Because the pasuk says, you have to stop. You have to stop plowing and harvesting. Now, this is how Rambam introduced in the first Mishnah already. But there's no point of saying that you're not allowed to harvest and plow on the Shemitah year, right? Because we already have a separate pasuk for that. Ela, rather, what's it talking about? It's talking about plowing on the 6th year leading into the 7th. And harvesting on the 7th year that's leading into the 8th year. So it's really for the 8th year. That's what that pasuk is talking about. When it says b'harishu b'kasir tishbot, it's talking about those 2 other time frames, and that's why we need to pause earlier, right? That's why we have to stop already from Shavuot time. That's why we have to stop, for a single tree, the entire field of a single tree from Pesach time. Rabbi Yishmael is doresh otherwise. When the pasuk says "B'harishu b'katzir tishbot," it's not talking about Shemitah. What's Rabbi Yishmael say it's talking about? It's talking about Shabbat. Ma harish reshut, af katzir reshut. Yatsa katzira omer. What are we not allowed to do on Shabbat? So we're not allowed to do all 39 melachot. So why would the pasuk single out the plowing and the harvesting when it comes to over here? The pasuk is talking about Shabbat itself. So Rabbi Yishmael points out, he says the same way harisha is reshut. The person plows. Right? The only type of plowing that appears in Torah is a plowing for your own needs. If you want it, right? If you want to plow, plow. You don't want to eat, don't plow. Right? You don't want to grow things, don't plow. Right? You're plowing for yourself. So too, the harvesting that's asur on Shabbat is harvesting for yourself. Only if you're harvesting for yourself is it going to be asur. As opposed to what? This comes to exclude Ketzira Omer. When you're harvesting for the Korban HaOmer, right, the Ketzira Omer, right, which is what we brought, on Pesach time, right, Hata Omer, right, that you're allowed to go ahead and harvest those grains on Shabbat, right? That's what Rabbi Yishmael learns over here, because the only harvesting that's asur is one that you're doing for yourself, similar to the harisha, similar to the plowing, and seemingly halacha is going to be like Rabbi Yishmael, because like we said, Rabban Gamliel is posek like him. Right? Rabban Gamliel says, this is how Rabban Gamliel holds of this pasuk, right? Because he's saying that the only reason that this is asur today, right? The harisha and the ketzira that we mentioned being asur in the 6th year is only asur in times of the Bet HaMikdash, right? Because he says it's a gezerat hachamim, and they're not learning it from the pesukim itself.